Get 5 coffins ready.
Hey everyone, welcome to my guide for Batz. Batz is an ability-based assassin and is seen only in the jungle role. Build-wise, Batz goes for the usual fare of power and penetration. There's nothing here that should be too surprising. Just a good mix of power and penetration, and you go the build that feels best for you. Defense doesn't work great on him since he really needs a lot of power to get that big explosive combo in the late game, but a Magi's Blessing as your final item to enable that explosive combo if there's too much CC on the other side is totally fine. Relics wise, you 200% need Blink on Batz, and your second relic should always be beads. Always. Blink, well, I doubt it needs explaining at this point, but as a jungler you need Blink and your movement ability to be both effective and survive, and Batz has no inherent CC immunity in his kit, so he needs beads too. Shard-wise, you can go either Horn Shard or Claw Shard, it's just personal preference. So let's get started with what helps Batz be so effective with those power and penetration builds, his passive. Every time Batz uses an ability, regardless of whether or not it hits anything, his next successful basic attack will deal bonus damage. And yes, this will stack with Hydra's Lament for truly catastrophic amounts of damage in the late game. Of course, basic attack cancels are the name of the game on most melee characters, especially assassins, but the way you use them changes depending on the ability. So let's get to how you want to use this passive by talking about his other abilities. In Batz's first ability, he leaps forward, damaging and slowing any enemies hit by the ability. This is your bog standard leap in SMITE. It's great for simple escapes if things don't go well after you do a blink combo, and for simple chases if said blink combo went well. Don't forget, it is a leap though, so it's endlessly versatile. Hold it so you can get over walls, time its use with an enemy's ability to immune it and turn the fight on them, and so on. This also applies in extended trades with Batz, since the slow but especially that extra passive enhanced basic attack and the damage on the leap itself is still a lot of damage. So leaping onto someone even if you're already close, especially if you time it to avoid an ability, is something you'll want to learn. Naturally, it's a bit on the slow side, so timing it, especially in this melee scenario, can be a bit tough when you're not used to it, since it's so easy to predict where Batz may be trying to land with this ability as well. So use it like you would any other leap until you get more comfortable with the timing, then you can get more spicy with it. All these nuances are luckily not something you have to concern yourself with when it comes to Batz's second ability. Batz winds up and strikes in a very wide cone AoE, the size of the cone of course offsetting that huge wind-up time, which Batz is immune to knockups during. Batz slams down, he does damage, like a lot of it. It's a very simple ability with very little to know about it. Bonk people on the head with it after using a CC or movement ability, and that's about it. Just remember that in extended fights, or if you're diving deep, you can and will be hard CC'd out of this windup. So be sure to take stock of hard CC other than knockups before diving in on or when participating in an extended trade with someone. They might be waiting for you to use this ability so they can cancel it with their CC. The ability won't be put on cooldown, but it means that you basically have to double the windup time trying to use this ability again. Another small tip is that when on instant cast, the ability's hitbox won't be visible anymore. So to keep that hitbox visible but still have the benefits of instant cast, try using quick cast for this ability instead. And as I'm sure you can tell, you can move while using this ability, so try and get up close for that passive basic attack as well. A bit more complex is Batz's third ability. Batz throws a monkey. Fucked up, right? The monkey flies through the air and does nothing. But if it hits an enemy, it will damage them, and will look for nearby enemies to bounce to, like Naja's first ability. The monkey will bounce 4 times, and like Naja's first ability, if there are no new targets to bounce to, the monkey will bounce to a target that is already hit again, but this only applies to minions and jungle camps. So this is now Batz's main jungle clear combo. 3 to start damaging them, then once they're aggroed, 2 them. Super clean and easy, and a lot of damage too. But we haven't even got to the best part yet. When the monkey finishes bouncing, Batz can teleport to whoever the final bounce landed on by reactivating the ability. This of course means that in an isolated one-on-one, the ability makes for a stellar basic attack cancel. Sounds lame, right? Isn't it only ever going to land on a minion when you're ganking? And what if it lands on a tank during a teamfight? Well, you can actually teleport early with this ability. I'm not sure how everyone else does it, but for me, while the monkey is traveling, you can mash the ability button as the monkey is traveling to the target you want to teleport to, and you'll be teleported as soon as the monkey hits. But keep in mind the monkey won't keep bouncing after that. And this trick is vital to avoid some of the problems I've just mentioned. Unfortunately though, there's not much I can say other than get comfortable with it. It's purely mechanical, but it's something you're going to have to do with Batz for maximum effectiveness. And in some situations, effectiveness at all, since in some situations, you won't have any other options to get close to them, but the monkey will be bound to land on something you don't want to teleport to, if you just let it keep bouncing. It's a decent range and high damaging ability which tracks enemies and allows you to teleport, so as a result, mechanically, it's pretty intense, especially if you're not used to SMITE in general yet. But once you nail it down, it's easily one of the strongest gap closers in the assassin class. Speaking of one of the strongest things in the assassin class, Batz's ultimate. Batz has a short windup while summoning a totem. Then once the totem is fully summoned, it will begin emitting damage in the very large AoE around it, and will apply a fear for every single tick of damage, allowing for up to a 2-second fear, scaling with the rank of the ability. Like most AoE hard CC assassin abilities, this is a very open-ended ability, so I'll try to keep it simple. While performing ganks in the early minigame, usage of this ability tends to be very simple. Blink, ultimate, then give all the chase you can with your core abilities. You want to try and place the totem in such a way that the enemy is feared towards your team. But as I'm sure you know, the ultimate and blink only go so far, so even if you can't quite get the ultimate in the perfect position, just make sure you have the clean execution of the blink into ultimate down pat. Typically you'll almost always burn beads or CC immune ultimate just by using this ultimate alone, so make sure to wait out their CC immunity and leap onto them to apply the slow so you can get some more smackdown on them with your core abilities once you forced out their movement ability, which trust me, your ultimate will do every single time. So for ganks, easy enough. Gank once they pop their beads, maybe kill them, maybe not, but then come back again before their immunities come back and ult them again, definitely killing them that time. And that's the key with Batz's ultimate. Once you're able to place it correctly, consistently, it will, no matter what, either burn every immunity that anyone affected by it has, or if they have no immunities, Batz kills them, every time. Since this is more or less just a fact of life though, anyone worth their salt playing against Batz knows that this ability is Batz when it comes to team fights. His core kit is okay, but he has no hard CC outside of his ultimate, and that's what enables him to completely annihilate targets. So in turn, his ultimate is what enables him to apply all of his damage and completely annihilate targets. He can do plenty of damage on his own, but this ability is what allows him to get kills quickly, but just as importantly, get away with it, since you're CCing them and they can't fight back when they're CC'd. This does bring up another usage of this ability though when you catch someone out and about. It's totally fair if you catch someone in the jungle and you're even or ahead to just ult them and burn their immunities, or just plain try to kill them. Of course throwing your monkey on their head as soon as they're ulted. But don't forget as well, if you catch someone, that you can instead chase with your core kit, then pop this ability after you force their movement ability, or to avoid peel from the enemy team if they try to come and help your intended target. It can be hard to understand when you want to use the ability right away on a target and when you want to hold on to it. It's really just matchup dependent. Typically, if they lack inherent CC immunity, like say a Set or a Susano, you want to bait them up and close and pop the ultimate on top of their heads. Then with characters with easy escapes, like say a Lancelot, you want to try and hold on to your ultimate until they use their immunity to try and escape you. Then you chase with this ultimate instead. You need to be wary of gods who can turn on you with their CC immune ultimates of their own though, since as I mentioned, the ability does have a small window of windup that allows gods like Pele, Tsukuyomi, and Najat to just laugh off the CC and use their ultimates against you instead, and lest we forget gods like Thor, Thanatos, and Ratatoskr, who can literally just fly away from you and make your ultimate useless. This goes for other classes too. Batz does a lot of damage, but mages and hunters with those CC immune ultimates and good reaction time will be able to immune it. So it's up to you to judge the situation well and see what you'll be using this ability for. Just to burn those abilities and relics for the betterment of your team, or when it's a good idea for you to all in along with your ultimate to annihilate someone. To quickly loop back around to using this in team fights, naturally in those situations you really can't safely get the totem behind good targets like hunters and mages, so don't be afraid to fear gods away from your team. It might not be optimal on paper, but don't forget even though they're moving away, they're doing so slowly, and your team, but most importantly you, should still be more than able to follow up even if they're being feared away from you. All in all, this ability does require a decent level of understanding of what each god is capable of and good tracking of relic timers. Just don't use a script or anything to track it though, okay? Let's get to some combos with Batz. 3, 3, basic, 2, basic, chase with your 1. If they're skittish, 3, 3, basic, 1 to chase, basic, 2, basic. If they can't get away from you, 1, basic, 3, 2, basics to chase, and ult to finish them off. 3, 3, basic, ult, basic, 2, chase with your 1 if need be, 1, basic, ult, basic, 2, basic, then chase with your 3. Ultimate 3, 3, basic, 2, basic, chase with your 1. Blink, ultimate, 3, 3, basic, 2, basic, chase with your 1. There's honestly a lot of variations on those, but that's all I got for now. For ability leveling, you want your 2 at level 1, your 3 at level 2, and your 1 at level 3. Currently, you want your 2 at level 1 due to the start where you pull all 4 jungle camps together. So if that ever changes and we go back to doing just 1 camp at a time at the start of the match, get your 3 at level 1 instead. From there, max your 2, your 3, then your 1, leveling the ultimate whenever you can. Batz is awesome. He offers a lot of skill expression, but at the skill floor, he's still a rock-solid god with good ganks and strong teamfight presence. There's nothing inherently wrong with Batz. In fact, his ultimate actually offers insane self-peel to make up for his lack of CC immunity, but there are some matchups where there's just too many immunities on the enemy team, or Batz simply can't put out the damage fast enough compared to the enemy team and gets killed for it, especially when it comes to his second ability. But again, if you nail his mechanics, understand your matchups, and keep an eye on enemy relic timers, there's almost no situation where Batz doesn't feel incredibly useful. Whether you're one-shotting a carry, spreading out the entire enemy team, or peeling the entire enemy team off of your team, Batz can do it all, and he's a god you'll never regret learning. That's all I have on Batz for now. Thanks for watching.